Being made of 195 countries with a landmass much smaller than the watery surface of this Earth, we humans have tendencies to encroach on the neighboring country's land. Luckily for us, we humans have a knack for making things memorable, and we know how to leave quite an impression on others. Usually, a post or a signpost signifies that you've transitioned from one place to another. But given how people are, some use art to symbolize your entry to a new location, while others have Mother Nature draw their border for them. So, for today, we'll be listing down 15 of the most extraordinary borders in the world. So, keep a lookout if you think your country's borders fall into this category. Before we get into this video, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss anything we post. Number 1. Barle, the town in between the Netherlands and Belgium. Starting off this list, we have the interesting town of Barle, which divides the country of Belgium and the Netherlands. The border between the two is caught in between this town, hence the border dividing the countries. This border is actually referred to as the world's most complex border situation, since the town sits several miles inside the Netherlands, but owing to a deal hammered out between feudal lords in 1198, it is divided roughly evenly into two sides, Belgian and Dutch. The side belonging to Belgium is called Baarle-Hertog, while the side belonging to the Netherlands is Baarle-Nassau. Number 2, Mount Everest, that separates Nepal from China. Next on the list, not only has the title of the highest mountain in the world, but it also serves as the boundary between Tibet Autonomous Region of China and Nepal. It is 1,389 kilometers, or 863 miles in length, and runs in a northwest-southeast direction along with the Himalayan mountain range. The two countries have different names for this border, wherein the Tibetans call it Komolungma, which translates to Goddess Mother of the World, whereas the Nepalese call it Sagarmatha, which translates to Goddess of the Sky. Some refer to the entire massif of peaks as Komolungma, Everest, Nuptse, and Lhotse, reserving the name Mount Everest for the highest peak. Number 3, crop circles of Poland and Ukraine. When it comes to borders, the countries of Poland and Ukraine probably aced this one with their artistry. Breaking off from the usual boring post, the dividing line between the country is defined by crop circles, or land arts that encompasses both lands' borders. In 2011, Poland and Ukraine tapped into the creative mind of Jaroslaw Koziara, a performer and visual artist from Lublin, to create a piece of land art that encompassed acreage on both sides of the border for an annual land art festival celebrating the intersection between art and nature. Koziara planted various seeds in a fish-shaped pattern that resulted in a massive crop circle fish, which stands for the unity between two countries. Number 4, the Khunjerab Pass, the roadway between Pakistan and China. Also, another interesting border we have here is the Khunjerab Pass, also known as the highest border crossing in the world. A high mountain pass, it serves as the northern border of Pakistan with China and has an elevation of 15,538 feet above sea level. This border's name is derived from two words of the local Wakhi language. Khun means blood and Jarab means a creek, coming from spring water falling. Number 5, the Northwest Angle. Make a call at Jim's Corner to pass between the US or Canada. More popularly known as the Angle by the locals, the Northwest Angle is located in northern Lake of the Woods County, Minnesota, that serves as the only place in the contiguous United States north of the 49th parallel, which forms the border between the US and Canada from the Northwest Angle westward to the Strait of Georgia between the US state of Washington and the province of British Columbia. It can be accessed via boat by crossing the Lake of the Woods, or by land, wherein travelers using the single gravel road in and out of the Angle are expected to use a telephone at Jim's Corner, Youngs Bay Marina, or Carlson's Landing to contact Canadian or US Customs and make their declarations. Number 6, the Rocky Diomede Islands, that separate USA from Russia. Number 6 on this list is the Diomede Islands, or popularly known by the Russians as the Gvozdev Islands, which are made up of two rocky mesa-like islands. The east island is Little Diomede Island, which is part of Alaska that's inhabited by the Chukchi people, known for being skilled seamen. In Russia, the island is part of the Big Diomede, or otherwise known as Imoklik, Inalik, Nunar Marbuk or Ratamanov Island. The Diomede Islands are located in the middle of the Bering Strait between Siberia and mainland Alaska. The island is actually separated by the international dateline, and as a result, Big Diomede is almost a day ahead, 21 hours to be specific, of the Little Diomede. This time difference led to the islands being called Tomorrow Island, Big Diomede, and Yesterday Island, Little Diomede. Number 7, the Zambezi River, that separates Zambia and Zimbabwe. Slightly less than half the length of the Nile, the Zambezi River is the 4th longest river in Africa and also the largest flowing into the Indian Ocean from Africa. Mother Nature really did a number separating Zambia and Zimbabwe with this one, creating a natural border. To cross the border from Zimbabwe to Zambia, travelers need to go over the Victoria Falls Bridge. These falls can be viewed from both countries since 2/3 of the falls are located in Zimbabwe, while the remaining 1/3 can be viewed in Zambia. Number 8, the tri-border of Brazil, Paraguay, and Argentina. Another natural border made by nature, the tri-border of Brazil, Paraguay, and Argentina's border, is formed by the natural convergence of 2 rivers, the Iguazu River and the Parana River. Foz do Iguacu is a popular tourist destination that holds historical importance to these 3 countries, and it's also where all 3 countries form a triple frontier. At the junction of the borders, the countries have each erected an obelisk, painted in their respective national colors. Tourists and visitors alike can catch a glimpse of the Tancredo Naves International Bridge, which connects the Argentinian city of Puerto Iguazu and its Brazilian counterpart, Foz do Iguacu. It showcases the cultural, economic, and social integration between the 3 countries. Number 9, the strip that separates Spain and Portugal. Considered one of the oldest and longest borders in Europe, the border between Spain and Portugal is simply called the Strip by the locals. This border once held eminent significance, but when the 1985 Schengen Agreement removed all internal borders in Europe, this became a passport-free zone. It's a popular tourist attraction and even offers a cross-border tour that showcases the 2 countries' cultures and witnesses how years of conflicts and negotiations have shaped present-day society. If you're an adrenaline junkie, you can also have the option to zip line from Spain to go across the river and land in Portugal. Number 10, the border between North Korea and South Korea. The dividing line between North Korea and South Korea is called the Demilitarized Zone. That's off limits to civilians, meaning passing through one country from the other is impossible. Also called the DMZ, it's a buffer zone cutting across the peninsula, which is 4 kilometers in width, 2 kilometers in each Korea. It is also known for another name, the 39th parallel line. The name is given in reference to the latitude line that is the 38th degree north of the Earth's equatorial plane, forming the border between North and South Korea before the Korean War. Number 11, the border tri-point of Slovakia, Austria, and Hungary. A witness to a lot of historical events, the border tri-point of Slovakia, Austria, and Hungary is marked by a pillar that bears the letter of each country, marking its sides. At the location, visitors can find sculptures commemorating the time of the Iron Curtain, with parts of the barbed wire and border signs still in place. The Iron Curtain was a political boundary dividing Europe into 2 separate areas, from the end of World War II in 1945 until the end of the Cold War in 1991. At one point, these 3 countries were part of an Austro-Hungarian empire, but the fall of the Soviet Union made it possible for normal people to cross this border. Number 12, the peaks of Canaima National Park that separate Venezuela, Brazil, and Guyana. Another border made by natural occurrence. The borders of Venezuela, Brazil, and Guyana have conjunction located at Canaima National Park. The mountain's peaks, which house the park, are made up of 65% plateau of rocks called tepuis, which is akin to a tabletop mountain millions of years old, with vertical walls and almost flat tops, the most famous among them being Mount Roraima. The park itself is located in Bolivar State, reaching the borders with Brazil and Guyana. At the top, there is a tri-border marking the conjunction of the 3 countries. Number 3, the Tumen River that borders China, Russia, and North Korea. Another naturally made tri-border, the Tumen River, or sometimes Duman River, flows through Northeast Asia and stretches for 521 kilometers that serves as the boundary of China, Russia, and North Korea. On the southern side of Lake Khasan, near the coast on the border of Russia and North Korea, if you start walking walking from North Korea towards the north for a mile. You would cross a part of China and end up in Russia. Number 14. The dividing border of the United States and Mexico. One of the most controversial borders, the Mexico-United States, is an international border separating the two countries that extends from the Pacific Ocean in the west to the Gulf of Mexico in the east. There's also another naturally occurring border between these two countries, which is the Rio Grande River. Considered as a political boundary, it was created to stop illegal immigrants from Mexico from entering the United States. In some places, the border is marked by a fence. In other places, it consists of tall steel barriers. Number 15, the Lotus Bridge of Macau and China. And finally on this list, we have the Lotus Bridge. Serving as a cross-border bridge, the Lotus Bridge links the Cotai Reclamation Area of Macau with Hengqin Island in Zhuhai, Guangdong Province, People's Republic of China. This bridge was built on the northernmost point of Macau, where it shares the border with mainland China, to facilitate the traffic rules which have been in place for 24 hours per day since December 2014. And that concludes today's list of 15 extraordinary borders in the world. If you want more of this content, please click like and subscribe, and we'll see you again next time for another interesting video. Thanks for watching.